right, here we go. Our next episode. Oh, look at that Pulpy Hideout T-shirt. How you doing,
Bobby
Yanis?
Hideout T-shirt. Yeah,
Man,
I'm doing good.
representing, representing.
I thought I'll represent. I thought, put the T-shirt on, get ready for action, and
That's it.
yeah, hello to anybody that's listening to us and watching us right now. And when we're not live, actually, what I'm saying. But anyway, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
So yeah, please,
yeah. How you
Vadim.
feeling today, Yanis?
Yeah, I'm doing good, mate. I'm doing good. I'm eager
Good.
to get the show on the go. Let's get this
Yeah,
episode in, and I'm looking forward to the conversation with you.
yeah, man.
So,
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting conversation. So, what we're doing today is the Sandkings. The Outer Limits
yeah,
episode, the TV show Outer Limits. It aired on 26th of March 1995, and it became part of the Outer Limits anthology show. It was actually the first episode that aired, and I thought it would be, interesting to do this on our video podcast, discussing the Sand Kings. I thought it was a very interesting show, and I'm just going to ask you, Yanis. You watched it for the first time. I've seen it probably about 5 or 6 times, and I told you about it. And said, "Look, it's going to be good for our podcast to do one of these." And you agreed. You watched it. Let's hear your opinion.
yeah. Before that, mate, before I get into that, if I can ask you back, just how did you get for the first time across it? How did you find out about it? Because I didn't know about it
Yeah,
until you told me. Yeah. So.
yeah, that's a good question. I was a big fan of the Twilight Zone, the show, and when I discovered the Twilight Zone, I discovered the Outer Limits as well by chance because I saw some episodes on late night TV. I think it was like in the early 2000s. They
Late night
aired it
TV.
here. Yeah, they
That's the
aired
best.
it
That's
here
the
in
best TV.
Australia. Yeah, man, it was
Yeah.
like Friday or Saturday night,
Oh,
like at midnight,
sweet.
and I
Yeah.
caught an episode. It wasn't the Sand Kings, it was another episode that um, I can't remember what it was, but this show actually focuses a lot on science fiction, while Twilight Zone is more sort of supernatural horror. This is more sort of science fiction. It's got some elements of horror in it as well. And I caught this episode, and it was like, I haven't seen it since. I got to revisit it, but it was like the end of the world, and it had to do something with a father. And I think he had like a young son and a wife. And it's just the relationship between them when they know that the world's going to end. And it was just so emotional. And it was like a ticking time bomb. Um, and it was just such an emotional episode, I remember. And it stuck with me for a while. And I go, look, I got to check this show out. So I started digging around, and at our local like DVD shop, what we call here JB Hi-Fi, they sell DVD, Blu-rays, and all that kind of stuff. And I found the first season of the new series of the Outer Limits. So I bought that, and then I started watching, and the first episode was the Sand Kings, and I'm like, oh my god, if this first episode is so good, what's the rest of the shows like? So, nonetheless, this is the original.
Nice.
This is actually
Yep.
going back to 1963. This is the
Yep.
complete collector's edition box set of the original Outer Limits.
63 to
Then
1965.
63 to 65, yes, they did 49 episodes. Then in 1995 they revived the show, and we've got
Here we go.
Volume
There we
One,
go.
which
Yeah.
collects the first four seasons, and we've got Volume Two, which collects from season five to season seven, and they stopped at season seven. I tell you
Yeah,
what a
the second run was a lot longer than the first one, so it went until 95 to 2002, which is
exactly, yeah, and what a show!
interesting.
What a show! Seriously, if you're a fan of if you're a fan of the X Files, obviously the Twilight Zone, and things like Black Mirror and all that, this is
Yeah,
actually an early
that's exactly.
like Black Mirror pays a lot of homage to these to the Outer
Yeah,
Limits, for
absolutely,
sure.
absolutely,
So if you're a fan of
absolutely.
science fiction,
You have to check them out.
this is a must. Anyway, this is not
Yeah,
an episode on
no, no,
Outer Limits, but it kind of links in because
well,
the Sandkings is part of that. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's part of that, and it's part of the novelette that George R.R. Martin wrote. George, Winds of Winter, buddy. By the way, if you ever listen to this,
Yeah,
get-
yeah.
everybody's still waiting and waiting. Uh, um,
Everybody's still waiting and everybody talks about it. But hey, man, he's got a brilliant mind. You can't doubt
Yeah,
that.
and this he wrote it back in '79. Well, it was released in '79, and I didn't know this. I hadn't realized, but what a novelette is. So basically, it's in between a short story, which is 1 to 9,000 words roughly, and that's about 7,500 to 19,000, and then it becomes a novella from 20,000 to 45,000 roughly, and then a novel is about 60,000 words onwards.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah,
and yeah, that,
yeah.
that that was interesting. I wanted to mention that.
That's
And
yeah, that is very interesting. I mean, I haven't checked out the novella. I'd love to
I want
actually.
to check out the novella, man. Anybody listening, let us know if you read it, because it won all sorts of awards. It won the Hugo Award, um, the Nobela Award, the Locus Award. So it's very, very highly praised, and I will. It's definitely one of the books that I want to read one day. Oh, not books,
Oh
but
man, yeah.
novelettes.
Actually, funny thing is that when I like I said, I watched it probably about five or six times, but I remember like I'd probably say it'd be about over 10 years ago when I started watching when I revisited the Sand Kings again, and I was watching it at by that time, I like I said, I watched it many times, but I didn't realize that it was actually written by George R.R. Martin. I didn't know
Right,
that,
right.
and it would have been at the same time I picked up Game of Thrones, the first book, right?
Yeah,
Um, and then I was watching the Sand Kings, and I'm like, hang on, that's the same dude that wrote the Game of Thrones, right? And that made me actually want to read, all through all the five books of Game of, and I've just blasted through them. I love them so much, and the connection there. So it was really, really cool for me. And I guess it's probably already a spoiler what I think of the show.
yeah.
I'd love to hear your opinion. But before we go into that, just got to mention like all our episodes are we spoiled the heck out of everything that we talk about. So please be warned. And if you haven't seen it, if you want to go and watch the show first before you see this video, you'd probably want to pause right now and then come back. But if you don't mind spoilers, go ahead and watch it. Listen to it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, my overall impressions of it was that it was a pretty cool TV movie that had a very fascinating premise. Um, and it, it for me, I enjoyed it, but I wanted more from it. And I Yeah, I mean, probably not as enthusiastic as you were after watching it, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. And I thought it had some fascinating ideas that are probably more developed in the novelette. And yeah, and also it's interesting. The time period it came out in was the beginning of CGI, and that's probably one of the elements in it, a small element in it that is a bit jarring. And but yeah, so yeah, I wanted to ask you in turn now, what your opinion on this dichotomy that I feel is between really cool practical effects done by the company XFX, which are
Mhm.
really nice to look at, and the and then the CGI use, which was then in its infancy, and very nowadays very jarring for for us. And
Yeah.
yeah, if you can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, no, look, I do understand your points and where you're coming from with that, and as you mentioned, you wanted more. I perfectly understand that, but I look at it more from a point like to me, it was actually 5 out of 5, and the reason,
Oh,
and it
okay.
does have its flaws, but but to me, I can look past those flaws. They do not diminish my love for this show, the Sandkings, and the reason is because you got to look at it as what the outer limits is. The show, it's it's episodic, and different episodes, they do not link up, right? So they're completely different. Episode 1 to episode 2 would be completely different, covering different topics. That's what an anthology is, right? And with an anthology, what you'll find, I don't know if you watched many of the Outer Limits episodes, but it's designed not to go deep in stories. What it does, it presents ideas, right? And
Mm-hmm.
some of those ideas you kind of got to figure out yourself, because there might not be a complete ending of what you're expecting, right? So half of it you got to sort of puzzle it to get put the puzzle together yourself, right? And that's what the anthology is, because it actually the Sandkings, it works out to be a full length movie. But what they did in the show, they put it in two parts, because most of their episodes are under an hour. It's about 45 minutes,
Right,
right?
right,
So you
right.
cannot flesh out a full story in anthology story, right? It's very short. It's shorter than the movie. And this show was special. It's a two-parter, right? But yeah, like you said, you could flesh out the story more, and it's probably fleshed out a lot more in the novella. But that's not what the show was designed to do. I thought it presented a lot of good ideas, a lot of thought-provoking ideas, a lot of good, scientific ideas that are not far-fetched, um, and to me that was perfect. And looking at when it was made, and as you mentioned, the practical effects and all that, that wasn't crash hot at the time, but I thought it actually gave more charm to the show. And for me, the acting was just phenomenal, especially from and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Is it Bew or Bayou? So yeah,
I have the same
Bridges.
problem. It's
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm gonna say
Ba-
Beau. So if I'm saying it
Bayou,
incorrectly,
Bayou.
people can comment. But I thought his performance was just phenomenal, and I think he won a nominee award for that. So
Oh, he's
um,
great in it,
yeah,
and it's interesting because it's three generations of Bridges in it. So
yeah,
obviously you have
yeah,
Lloyd, who is
yeah,
a fan, absolute favorite from Aeroplane and Hot Shots, and
mm,
watching him in this, I mean, it's interesting because the thing about Aeroplane quickly is everybody in it was serious actors, and why it was so special was that they suddenly were playing straight, but it was a satire, and it was extremely funny because of it, and it blew people's minds at the time because all those
mm,
actors were serious dramatic actors, and in this he's back to being a very dramatic role of the father that kind of lost a son, and then he's like it was his favorite son, he was a soldier, and then the other son cannot live up to it.
mhm.
But watching him, I was like, I kept expecting him to be funny,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
and
this,
he's got
yeah,
that face. He's got a funny face. Like he's always cheery. You know what I mean? So it's
yeah,
a little
exactly,
bit.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a little bit hard to take him seriously. I know. Yeah,
yeah. And the son Dylan was Bayou's son. The son in in
yeah,
the episode was his actual son. So three
yeah,
generations.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
And
Three generations of Bridges. Yeah.
mm, I thought he was great in the role as well. Don't get me wrong. And I thought um, the actress Helen Scherer, did I say it right? Shever, I think it's Shever. Sorry if I
Hmm.
say it wrong. She was really great as his wife in it.
Yeah,
And part of the reason why I say there's some elements that I felt weren't developed, could have been developed a little longer, is that I wanted more to happen with her, a
yeah,
little bit more. There's a scene actually where one of those Sandkings escapes and goes into the house,
yeah,
and I kept expecting a scene, and it shows it two or three times, and I expected like there would be
yeah,
like a scene like kind of like in Aliens where Sigourney Weaver is trapped and the
yeah,
aliens
yeah,
come
yeah.
out, and chase her. I
That's what
thought
I
something
was
like,
expecting as
yeah,
well.
I
Yeah,
thought
yeah,
something like that
yeah,
was going to happen,
yeah,
and then nothing. It disappeared. It kind of
yeah,
like I don't know what happened to. I can't
yeah,
remember if anything. I don't think
yeah.
anything happened with that bug. So it's kind of setting this
Nothing
thing up.
happened with that particular bug. I
Yeah,
know what you mean.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah. And then I thought, to explain further, I thought there was interesting psychological insight that he was showing us between the son having the ponytail because he was like a rebellious act against the father
yeah.
who was
Yes.
would never he was trying to get his approval and he could never get it. He
Yes.
wanted to get his love
Yeah.
and approval, and but his father, he sort of those feelings went away with the son dying, so he wasn't able to sort of
Exactly. Yeah.
embrace, yeah, his other son, and that made actually Dr. Simon Kress, that's his name in it. It
Yeah.
made him in a way become worse than his father. In the end, he
Yeah.
became completely
Yeah.
obsessed, and it became worse version than his own father was. And I thought those were very interesting. Um,
Yeah. Very interesting dynamic. I thought that
yeah,
relationship between,
but
because you're watching a science fiction show and then suddenly this relationship between father and son. I thought that was a very nice touch. Yeah.
yeah, but my thing was that I felt in the end that it didn't play out as much as I wanted to, because you have the father returning at the end, because at some point the father just disappears. His father, he stays at his country house near the lake, and then he shows up in the end to say, what the hell's going on, and he sees the son completely just insane, and and I thought that I just wanted more between them leading up to it. And then you have the son leave the house, leave the lake house, and go back as well. And then the father sees the son, and he has a moment of clarity. So I just kept feeling there was something there that wasn't developed as much as it could have been to come to a
Mm.
crescendo towards the end between
Mm.
the father and son dynamics of three generations. And I felt a little bit cold. I didn't feel like it was cathartic enough in the end, because you have I didn't feel like his character, the doctor, he didn't have a good enough character arc where in the end he kind of realizes, oh, what the hell am I doing, and tries to make up for it
Mm.
and sacrifices himself. I felt that was a little bit too quick the way it happened. At the same time, I understand that this is a TV movie, um, and not a real, not a
Yeah.
film. It's like a TV movie,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you have to approach it as that. So I think when I first sat
Exactly.
down and
Yeah.
started watching it, I had a film in mind, whereas this is a TV episode, a pilot, essentially for a standalone
Yep.
anthology.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, that's where my little bit of you know
Yeah.
unsatisfaction comes from.
That's a good point, and you're perfectly right. I agree with it. Like I said, for me, it didn't bother me that much because I thought that the show did what it was supposed to do, and I thought the ideas were clearly given to the audience, which wasn't fully developed, and I appreciate that. But I thought I got enough out of it, and because, like I said, I haven't watched everything, but I've seen quite a few of the Outer Limits episodes, and it's a lot of them are like that, right? Where
Mhm,
it has a few sort of stinkers that you go, but then it has quite a few good episodes as well. But you kind of want more from it, and you want more
mhm,
story development, you want character development, but unfortunately, it's not there. And how I approach this show is that a lot of these episodes, when you watch it, you as a viewer, you have to kind of put the pieces together yourself as well. So, but like I said, out of this one, I got what I needed, and it's one of my favorites movies. It's probably like in the top 10 for me, if you
mhm,
want to call it a movie. But I really enjoy it, and like I said, because I rewatch it, I wouldn't say regularly, but if I don't watch it for like 2 or 3 years, I go, okay, now I got to watch it. That's how much I enjoy it.
oh
That's how
wow,
much I
okay,
love the
yeah,
Sandkings. Yeah, and
wow, what.
look, like I said, when I first saw it, like I was probably uh, yeah, I can't remember, but maybe in my mid 20s or late 20s, something like that. And I remember watching it like late at night. Um, it gave me this, it, even though it's not horror, but it kind of was creepy, the whole atmosphere and the way they filmed it, like the house itself. There are gargoyles. Did you see that, those gargoyles outside the
Yeah,
house? It just
yeah.
looked creepy, and especially at night. And then Simon, Kress slowly going mad, and the look on his face, and I just thought it was brilliantly done. Yeah.
A couple of plot points or situations. The
Yeah.
one that I found really interesting was when they made his face in the sand. And it's kind of like the film touches upon Frankenstein elements, the or a god complex elements, like he's the god, their god, sort of, which I thought it was interesting. And again, I thought I wanted a bit more on that as well. um
Yeah.
and
That. Yeah.
kind of like his the father figure, the god figure, the Frankenstein figure, that uh you know developing, giving life to these creatures, and then sort of losing control of it, because he's doing he thinks he's god, and And
Yeah.
the other thing was, it was interesting that he got beaten, which sort of is a catalyst towards him starting to lose control more and more, because obviously he has this foreign
Yep.
bacteria in his body, alien bacteria. But again, like I was thinking, is he gonna turn into one of them? Is he gonna? Was it because there's parallels between that and the Fly? You know, where
Yep.
the character starts to slowly change
Yeah.
into the Fly. So I thought, is it
Yeah.
because he started to
Yeah.
become more and more
Yeah.
fucked up? But again, that didn't go anywhere in the end. It was kind of like,
Yeah.
he didn't die. He didn't change into something else. He kind of became more insane and more sick, and he
Yeah.
deteriorated psychologically. But then his son shows up, and then he's sort of has a moment of clarity. So again, I was like a tiny bit like, oh man, that didn't really go reach the conclusion, for me. But again, it was interesting. It was interesting, and
Yeah.
yeah, the pacing of it was interesting as well. The plot pacing
Yeah.
of it was consistent.
Yeah. Consistent,
Yeah,
and it's a little bit quicker than the normal movie. Yeah, because
yeah.
they've got limited time, so it's not a full. Well, it played out as a full movie, but yeah. Well, look, what I was going to say is what you said about him getting bitten and whether he's going to turn or not. Yes, that's a really good question, but you know what? Welcome to the outer limits, mate. This is where you, as a viewer, have to decide for yourself, and I guess sort of how you would picture it in your mind, what actually happened to him. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that the show doesn't hold your hand, and the more you watch it, the more questions you have. Or what would happen in this episode, because that kind of didn't go anywhere. But then you just have to piece it yourself together. What would have happened,
I,
right?
I, I, I know what you're saying, and I agree with it, but and I that's not what I'm really saying, because it, 'cause I watched, like, I'm a big fan of the Twilight Zone, for example, and when I watch an episode, I don't sit there thinking, "Oh, I want more character development." It is what it is, uh, as a standalone story, as a um, but this one in particular, because it lasts an hour and a half, and because it introduces all these different elements,
Mhm.
um, I can't really defend it, because it's already, like, for example, the biting thing, and these are small grievances, very
Mhm.
small, but the biting thing, it's not like, oh, it's up to me to think if he's going to change or not, because we see what happens. We see him die in the end. It's not like he's
Yep.
going to live and then I wonder if he's going to develop into something else or not. They gave us the answer in the end. It's just that I felt that really was used more as a development of him, as a progression towards him being more insane and more physically
Well,
sick.
exactly. Because he
Yeah,
died. What would happen if
yeah.
he didn't die? That's the question. What would happen to him? We don't know. And it's an alien bacteria. So we have no idea.
No,
And
but since he
what he
died,
was turned.
we can't really think about it anymore, because he dies. If it had
Oh,
ended with
exactly.
us, yeah, as a question mark, and then you saw him alone in the desert, or alone in the city, and then goes close into
Okay.
him, and
I
he's
see what
like,
you mean.
you know what I mean, and then it's like
Yeah.
ends there.
Yeah.
You're gonna like, oh my god, is he gonna change? Is he gonna,
Yeah.
Then you're like
Okay.
wondering. But
Yeah.
now, since they kill him, it's over. It's like you don't really
Yeah.
wonder anymore. That's my point.
Yeah.
The
No,
same
that's a
the
good
same with
point.
the same with the father, because the whole father dynamic, or the face appearing in the
Hmm.
sand, they introduce these ideas, and it's cool, and I love them. But
Hmm.
because it lasts an hour and a half, they don't. It's not like an episode where you're expecting. It leaves you with questions. It's too much time. It's too much
yeah,
development already that doesn't lead to a satisfaction for just personally talking, and ending. That's what I mean.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
you know what?
Yeah, yeah, no,
But
I
that's
understand
just
your point on that. Yeah, there was an interesting bit. I don't know if you remember or if you picked up on it when he steps into the fish tank for the first time into the sand, and he goes like this with his hands, and all the bugs they go side, yeah, that they go
yeah,
sideways, right, clear the way, and then he says, "Eat your heart out, Charlton Houston." I don't
yeah,
know if you
yeah,
picked up on that, but
yeah.
what
From Moses.
that's from the
Yeah.
Ten Commandments,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah. Where he was playing
Where he
Moses. Yeah,
splits
yeah.
the seed, the right
Yes,
in
yes,
the Ten
yes. Of
Commandments,
course.
and that's why he goes, "Eat your heart out, Charlton Houston." Right? I am
Yeah.
God, basically. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Exactly. So again, the God complex, the Frankenstein complex.
yeah,
You know.
yeah. God and power, right? Um,
Well, yeah,
and that's
yeah,
where the power comes.
and losing
Where
control
we,
because
yeah,
you
he loses
you you
control. Yeah,
you think you are, you think you're God, and you can do anything you want,
mm,
and you get lost in the sense of power, and then it all comes crashing down at the end, and
yeah,
then he
yeah,
realizes that, what was I doing? I destroyed everything in this
yeah,
quest to in this obsession. I lost everything,
yeah, yeah,
including his life in the end, because it was his redemptive act in the end, to sacrifice himself to make things right, which he doesn't, because in a
yeah,
way the creatures are, you still see them in the end in the woods.
yeah.
He might have messed up the whole humanity. You don't know. Now
Exactly, exactly.
that's an ending, an anthology, you know, uh, proper ending, where you're like, oh shit, the creatures are there. What's going to happen now? You know,
Yeah, I
that's
thought
that's
that was a nice touch as well. Yeah,
that
yeah,
was a nice touch.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
That's how he should have ended, with questions. With us thinking, oh, what's going to happen now? Is humanity going
yeah,
to be screwed over? So yeah, interesting.
yeah.
So overall, man, you have a closing, overall statement on it. I feel myself that what's important to know, what I understood is, you have to look at it as a anthology, as a pilot, and as a TV movie, and not going to it as expecting a cinematic film,
Mm.
and
Yeah. I perfectly agree 100%. And that's what I took away from it. And it gave me interesting ideas, about what a good science fiction story is. And I thought it presented wonderful ideas, that are not too far fetched, and it's, the Martian soil, the eggs, it's not like an alien from another planet comes down and start tearing shit apart and all that kind of stuff, right? And you go, okay, well, that
absolutely,
was like a popcorn style Hollywood movie. This was, really thoughtful ideas, which I thought was done very cleverly. And, it's something that, you'd think, well, it could something like this happen, right? It's not
yeah.
too far fetched.
It's a
Yeah,
grounded sci-fi, really, because,
yeah,
we can bring back, sand
mm,
from Mars with, those robot creatures that pick up
yeah,
soil.
yeah,
Bring them
exactly.
back, and it could very well have this type of
Mm,
organisms in it, and you only need to have a situation with a sort of unhinged scientist to mess things up, and
Mhm.
It was definitely grounded sci-fi.
Mm.
I completely agree
Yeah,
with that.
yeah. And this is, like I said, this is the TV show that made me pick up a Song of Ice and Fire, um, which I
Oh, right,
really
right.
enjoyed. Once I found out that it's the same author, right? So it was really interesting. And like I said, I rewatch it, um, you know, at least once in 2 3 years. So yeah, it holds a special place in my heart.
Wow.
And in
Well,
fact, since I dug out all the outer limits, which I haven't seen through all, I might make a project where I'm going to watch, from the '60s all the way to the more modern ones.
yeah,
Go all the way through.
I started with the '60s ones, the first episode, which was really cool
Hmm.
with
Hmm.
radio waves communication and
Yeah,
the alien that
yeah.
appears. That
I
was really
remember
cool.
that one. I
So
saw the one. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, and
I
and
watched.
all these shows, if you can get past, the um, how should I put it, the obviously the first shows are black and white, and the special effects compared to today's standards are going to be pretty lame. But if you can get past all that, I think they present some really thought-provoking ideas. Some really,
Oh,
really good,
absolutely.
thoughtful writing went into these shows. So yeah,
Oh, absolutely, and yeah. Also, a lot of them have really cool prosthetics, really cool designs, and they don't have any of the CGI stuff that can be too
yeah,
much a lot of the time.
yeah, yeah.
So I love them. I watched finished the first season of the Twilight Zone, and it
Nice.
was really cool. And I'm looking forward to the second one now. And I'm a huge fan of all those anthologies. The Twilight Zone's fantastic. The Outer Limits is more science fiction based, like you mentioned, and that's really cool. Um, and in modern times, the modern equivalent really is, like you mentioned, the Black Mirror. Um,
Mm, mm,
as an anthology of those types of stories. So they spike the imagination. They are full of wonderful ideas, and they're
mm.
very fascinating to watch.
Definitely.
So
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, I would say go out there and get your hands on the Twilight Zone, get your hands on the Outer Limits, the early ones, and
Oh,
the later restarts. Get your hands on all those
yeah,
things.
it's
They're worth your
fantastic.
while.
Oh, it's
Definitely worth your
such good
while.
science fiction. Yeah, for sure, for sure. And it's something that we both enjoy. And I know you enjoy that kind of stuff as well. So it's
Yeah,
perfect for
of
the
course,
pulpy
of course,
hideout. Yeah,
of
perfect for
course.
the pulpy hideout to discuss.
Absolutely, man. And yeah, I think that brings us to the end of the conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
Thank you,
very much
Yanis.
enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Thank you, Vadim, man.
yeah, it's
And
great
for whoever's
discussion.
listening to
I,
this,
I I
thank you
was
for tuning
dying
in.
to hear your opinion. I was
All
dying
right.
because we don't to the listeners. If you've made it this far, we do not discuss our opinions prior to the show. We let it
Yes,
out
yes,
basically
exactly.
once we start filming it. So we don't know what any of us gonna
Yeah.
say. So whether we liked it, we didn't, and I was just dying to hear Yanis's
Yeah,
opinion.
well,
So yeah.
I'm really happy that you told me about it. I didn't know about it, but I was, I was watching the Twilight Zone at the time, and when you mentioned it, I was like, oh, cool, the Outer Limits. I wanna get on that as well. So that gave me an opportunity to go into that series as
Perfect.
well, and it's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. All right, thank you,
All right.
Yanis.
Thank you, man,
All
and
right, until the next episode.
till the next one. And everybody have a good one. Take care.
Yep, bye bye. Comment and subscribe, by the way.
Absolutely. Hit the notification bell, comments, likes, subscribe.
Yeah.
See you next time.
We put out videos once a month, so it's going to be regular. We also put out a lot of short videos, so please subscribe so you get the notification when we put out the next video. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye.